Welcome to the world of superpower golf. I'm Gary Wiren and the author of the book by the same title. What do we mean, superpower golf? Well, this book is full of ideas, as this tape is, on how you might get greater distance for all of your shots and also be able to control your golf ball better because you have better strength, better flexibility, and better technique. We're going to show you in detail from the gymnasium right to the golf course how you can improve your golf by being more fit and by better understanding the mechanics of the golf swing. You know, distance has fascinated man through history, from the featherball era right up to the present day, when we even have a national long driving championship. You might not become the national long drive champion, but we know that by watching this tape and by doing the things that you see in the tape, that you are going to be able to take those golden steps, which are the ones you get to walk past your opponent's drive. So share with us now as we look into superpower golf. Well, here we are in a complete training facility. Muscular strength, flexibility, and cardiovascular endurance, all elements that can help you as a golfer to perform better. What would be the reasons that we would want to train for golf? Well, first of all, it would be to help you prevent injury. It's surprising the number of golfers who come up with wrist and back and elbow and shoulder problems that keep them from performing as well as they should. Number two, by training properly, we can help you with your technique and also your control of the golf club. I can't tell you how many people come to me and would like to be able to swing like a tour player, but can't because they're physically unable to. So we need to work on what they can do while knowing that it limits them from their potential. The third thing is the reason we like to train for golf in this kind of a facility is because it can help you to hit the ball farther. And I've never run into anyone who wouldn't like to get a little bit of extra distance. Now, let me tell you a couple of things before we take you around to the machines and show you what exercises can be helpful to you and those that might be ones that you should do with more caution. First of all, training for golf is really a relatively new idea. It shouldn't really be, because for years we've seen the importance of training for other sports, track and field, football, basketball, but golf is a relatively new sport to accept the idea of training. The tour has its own trailer which now goes around, in which the greatest players in the world can train for their favorite sport. But you know what? The ones who really need it are the amateur golfers, particularly those who are nearing or past their senior stage. I can tell you that because I'm a senior, and I know that when I'm in training, I can play and perform much better than when I have gotten a busy schedule and had to leave my training. I'm down here in Florida where I see people come after retirement and at 60 to 65 years of age and say, well, now I'm going to be able to play golf every day. I'm going to take my 15 handicap, get it down to an 8, and boy, I'm going to really love this game. Well, you know what happens? They get down here, in 2 or 3 years, they're 15 handicaps now at 23. Too much soft life, too much good things to eat, good things to drink, too much sitting, and not enough exercise. And that's the big difference for them, particularly at that time of life. For those who are of that particular category, the senior citizens, and for you younger golfers who want to improve your technique, we're going to show you now in the rest of this tape how to do it by improving your body. Let's go do it. Before you get involved in any kind of vigorous activity, I would suggest that you do a little bit of warm-up first. We're going to have some strength exercises in a moment. Before I go to those strength exercises, I want my body to be a little bit ready. It'll help me to prevent injury, and it'll also help me to do a better job when I get there on my exercise equipment. So I'm going to start really kind of from the top down, just loosening up my neck a little bit, and into my arms and shoulder girdle. And you can do these maybe total time of about 3 or 4 minutes. Just work yourself on down, a little side bending, soft, never bouncing hard. Rapid movements and stretching of any kind and warming up are really the kinds of things that produce injury, and also, surprisingly enough, can restrict some of your flexibility. Little trunk movement to get my body ready. Trunk area, around and reverse the other way. I'm just doing a couple for examples right now. I would extend that just a little longer period. Something for my legs here. And by the way, this one is a good test of whether or not your leg strength is adequate. If you can maintain your balance in a position like that, it's also a good test for leg strength. Here we go, up. Then a little bouncing for my legs, get my heart going a little bit. I could do a little skipping rope, or I could ride the stationary bicycle for a few minutes, or I could just do a little bit of running in place. But all this to get me ready to now go do something that is more vigorous. So let's go do it. The first area of the body that we're going to concentrate on is the trunk. The lower back, the abdominals, and the trunk region, particularly for the rotary parts of the golf swing. This is a back machine. This is a Nautilus training facility. And so the machines that we're going to use are those that are made by that particular corporation, but actually any types of machines and even free weights or exercises, some that we'll show you a little bit later, can be used. You don't have to be locked into one singular system. However, this is a very popular one, and you'll find these types of centers all over the United States and very accessible to you. This particular machine is working the area that is probably the most prone to injury of any of that on the PGA Tour, and that's the lower back. So strong, these muscles, so important for your technique to be able to have the strength in the low back region for the twisting that must come about when you make a proper golf motion and golf swing. So this particular exercise, done on a 2-4 count with 2 seconds going back, 1001, 1002, and then 4 seconds slowly going forward, which is called a negative, but it's still the same amount of force pressing against your back and helping you to strengthen that portion of your body. So very important is low back. Now let's go to the abdominals. The next area that's so important is the abdominals. When you have back problems, you'll find that so many of them are exaggerated and compounded by the fact that there is a soft stomach musculature. You've got to get the muscles of the stomach flat and as hard as you can so that you can keep your back straight in proper postural line for your spine. If you don't, the vertebrae press against each other, and that's when you come up with a herniated disc and back problems. So the abdominal region is very important for your low back and also for good posture in the golf swing. This one, again, is a 2 count forward, and you only go as far as the abdominal muscles will take you, not far down like this, because then we're talking about hip flexors rather than abdominals. So in this particular exercise, it is 2 count forward, 1, 2, to the point where you're only involving the abdominals, and then a 4 count back, slowly, and the same way down and forward. Down, that's as far as I need to go, and back. The abdominals, really important for you in maintaining a healthy back. Now let's go to the rotary torso, one of the very best for the golf swing. The golf swing is a rotary movement in the trunk, but trying to find a machine in which you can exercise your rotary muscles is very difficult. That's why this machine is one of my favorites. It's called the rotary torso, and it can really improve those muscle groups which are hard to get to using our regular free weights or doing other exercises. This is the way the exercise looks, and I'm sure when you look at it, you can tell why it's such a good one. First of all, you focus your attention forward so that you aren't throwing your body out of alignment by moving your head. You place your arms on the pad and simply turn as you would in a backswing this way. Again, your same basic kind of count. 2 count forward and 4 back. And you can see the turning now that's required and the balance that comes in your body by working one side and then shifting to the other side of the seat facing the other way and having your swing come as though you're coming in the downswing with the strong muscles of your upper back and the rotary muscles of your back to help you get the speed and power that you need to hit a golf ball a long way. Now, you've just seen 3 important exercises for back, abdominals, and the rotary muscles that are in the trunk. Take a look now as you watch these golf swings and see how important they are as you watch the body unwind for power. I know of very few sports where the legs are not important in your performance, particularly a walking sport like golf. The legs are very important. This particular machine strengthens some areas of the legs which are very influential in helping you to stabilize yourself in your golf swing and help you to get power. The quadriceps, the muscles in the front, the hamstrings, and the gluteus, the muscles towards your rear back here. This is called a leg press machine. We get ourselves in a position where we don't bend our legs too far. We want to get, because you don't have to sit really very far in a golf swing. And we push forward so our legs are almost to full extension. Now, we don't have to go all the way back again because the range of motion for the golf swing is very seldom any deeper than this. So we can have a little more limited range on our leg press for the golfers. If you want to continue and go all the way back to your full range, it's all right, but it's not really necessary. That's the leg press machine. Again, once with a 2 count forward, 1, 2, and back, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now let's take a look at one you can also do, which is leg extension, which is totally for the quadriceps, the front part of your legs. I reset my seat so I get my back flat. That's the reason for the strap, to help me keep my back flat right here. And now, the leg extension to bring your legs up and then slowly down, and that will be almost entirely for the front part of your legs called the quadriceps. The legs are particularly important as a platform of balance in your golf swing. You work on the inner muscles and the outer muscles of your legs as you're rotating back and shifting your weight to the right and then coming back to the left. That's where the abductor and adductor machine can be so helpful. We get strapped in again with our back flat, get our head back, and then push your legs outward, slight pause, and back in, out, slight pause, and back in. That's called abduction, going away from. And now adduction, or toward, would be reversing the pads, spreading the pads farther apart so I can pull now inward for adduction. Rotate my heels, feet out slightly so I work primarily the inner thighs. Same. Pause and back, pause and slowly back. Abduction and adduction, so important for control of the lower body in your golf swing. Now one for a little more of power. A muscle group that's important in being able to move from your right to your left and drive with power as your forward swing comes from the right side to the left side is the calf muscle or gastrocnemius muscle. I'm in a multi-purpose machine in which I have a strap carrying the weight around my waist, and I rise up on toes and down and rise up on toes and down and get an exclusive use of the calf muscle to strengthen that area of the body so that I can hit that ball a little bit farther. Now let's take a look at our pictures and see how important those leg muscles are as we wind and unwind the trunk, swing our arms, but use our legs in going from the left to the right and then from the right side back to the left side and through the golf ball. Now, so far, we've worked the back and trunk muscles, we've worked the leg muscles, but we haven't done anything for the arms. I'd like to show you some of the things that I do because in the facility that we have here, there are 2 basic arm exercise devices. One is the curl, and one is the triceps press, going in this direction. I do recommend for some players that they work on the triceps, which is an exercise which lengthens the arm or gets the arm to full extension. That's the tricep muscle, which extends your left arm. And in golf, we do want extension. I recommend that we don't do very much work on the biceps, particularly if you're already muscular or tend to bulk up. Any muscles that are developed in the front, across the front of your body, like the pectoralis major, the muscles of your chest, the muscles of your biceps, where you're doing these kinds of exercises or pushing away from you like a bench press, tend to develop the muscles in an area where they have to swing your arms across your chest, and if you bulk up or do too much of these, it interferes with a good golf swing. So I would say if you're going to do them well, moderate amount, or watch yourself very carefully. But I'm going to show you what I like to do with my hands and arms to strengthen those which are important in controlling the golf club. You can do this in your same facility by using a barbell or a dumbbell, where you simply take your arm and put it against a bench, better to be a little firmer bench than this, and let your arm swing over slowly on this one when you have a heavy weight. As I say, you can do this with a singular dumbbell where you've taken the weight off of one end and left the weight only on the other end. I'm doing this with an apparatus called a distance builder. It's a machine that helps me in the golf swing I do a lot of exercises with. We've also seen programs where players will advocate the use of wrist curls, reverse wrist curls with both, again, strengthen the forearm flexors and extensors, and are helpful providing you don't do them too much so that you get tied up in that area without doing other exercises to keep those muscles free so that you can make a rapid, free-flowing golf swing. So in conjunction with the rotary movements, the flexion and extension movements, I also do a movement where we take the club in this fashion, cock it upward from the back, and then also forward, doing the same thing, going in this direction. So those groups of exercises for the hands and forearms are very, very helpful. I use this because I can swing it also like a golf club, and do one exercise in particular that I like. It's called the 30-second swing, and I'd like to demonstrate that to you right now. The 30-second swing is a helpful exercise not only to strengthen your hands and forearms and back muscles, but also to improve your technique. This is what it looks like. Good grip, aim and setup, and the 30-second swing. Now you repeat that 4, 5, 7, 10, 12 times, and your muscles start really feeling the weight out on the end of this particular club. So for strength and also for control, it's a good exercise to do. It's not always possible to get to a facility where you can work out, however, and so I use devices that I can use at home, or as this one's called, a gym in a bag that'll travel right with me in my suitcase. You can put it in a door jamb by simply putting this part in, the little knob here, and closing the door behind it. I'm hooking it here over a pad to demonstrate to you how simple it is to operate. All I do is take the exercise I'm going to work on. This particular one is a left arm horizontal extension, which is really the pull of the left side into the golf swing. I'm resisting with my right hand here and getting plenty of force, requiring plenty of force to get against that resistance and strengthen that motion that is so important in the golf swing. There's a whole series of exercises you can do with this particular device, and we try to balance them up so we don't go all in one direction. You know, muscular balance is extremely important in whatever you do in working out, because you don't want to develop a postural position from over-exercising one group to the neglect of another. So I would suggest to you all the time that you try to get a good balance in your muscular routine. One of the other devices that I use to help me in my golf arms and hand strength is a grip squeezer. Very simple little one that you can put in your pocket easily. I carry them around. I have them at my desk and in my car so that when I have a free moment, like when I pick up the telephone, it's there to remind me to take a hold of it and work my forearm flexors so that I can be able to hold on to the golf club more easily. You see, you don't need strength in your hands so you can grip tightly. You need strength so you can grip lightly and still maintain that speed that you want in your golf swing. I would suggest one of these for you because We've seen in research studies that left-hand grip strength has related very, very strongly with not only control, but distance in the golf swing. So the grip squeezer, very important for your strength in golf. Now watch the hands and arms, and you can appreciate how important it is to have strong arms and hands in making the golf swing. Primarily everything we've done up to now has been related to developing strength so that you can improve your musculature of your body in making your golf swing. But remember, there were two other elements, and one of them was cardiovascular endurance. You know, if you're going to finish strong in the last few holes of a golf tournament, you've got to have some cardiovascular endurance, strong heart and lungs, so that you can still maintain your good neuromuscular coordination right to the very end. One of the ways we can develop this is anything that can get your heart pumping and your blood rushing in your lungs, looking for a little air, like an exercise bicycle, or jogging, or rapid walking, or swimming. I use an exercise bicycle in my home. I have it in front of my television set, and I can not only strengthen my legs by doing this, but I can also develop a stronger heart and better lungs in doing it at the same time. So I'm telling you, this is a very good exercise for golf. And it's one that you can do while you're enjoying your favorite program or reading your favorite magazine. So cardiovascular endurance, extremely important for golf. And now we're going to go look at the third element, flexibility. When people think about superpower golf, they generally think of strength. But you know, one of the greatest inhibitors to hitting a golf ball a long way is lack of flexibility. I want to tell you that as you start aging and you get past that 35, 40 years of age, there are probably more golfers who lose distance because of the decrement in flexibility going down rather than their strength. So I'm going to show you some exercises that you can do to give you that old full backswing again by stretching and improving your flexibility so that you can hit the ball farther. Let's start off by just giving an idea of what we should do to warm up before we go out to play, and these all have to do again with flexibility. Your hands and fingers, of course, are important, and I would just wring my hands and fingers a little bit. I would take my hands and push them up so I can stretch my fingers this way. Nice soft stretching. Then I would take my hands, clasp them one over the other in this fashion, and make a golf swingy motion for the rotary portion of the swing. See, as I'm winding back and my forearms are rotating over, I'm getting this stretch in my forearms and hands and a little bit in my shoulders. But then I go to my shoulder girdle, just with a little soft arm hang, hands down, and turning the hands up. These are the kind of things that help you to keep your shoulder girdle loose so that when you wind up, you can get your arms high. It's when you can't reach to a full backswing, when you can only get the club to here rather than to here, that makes a tremendous difference in how far you're able to strike a golf ball. Then a little bit more for my shoulders. Again, by simply pressing against a wall surface, I can stretch this way. I can put my hand this way, and I can stretch. You see, again, this idea of being able to reach for a full backswing. Doing it with both arms, the right arm as well as the left, stretching across my chest muscles and across my upper shoulder girdle. Then, another very good one for your shoulders and upper arms is simply to reach behind your back and push down. Now, never again do we push so that we have great pain. We simply feel a stretching in there and then hold it. Our hold should be for about 30 seconds, and then if you'd like to push just a little bit more, fine, but we're looking for about 30-second holds right here. What about repetitions when we go through these exercises? I would suggest about 15 repetitions when you're going to not be in a static position, but where you're going to do something like, for example, side bending. If you're going to do a little soft side bends this way, I would suggest you do about 15 reps. That's 1, and over here for 2, and then back for 3 until we've done 15 of those. Now, another one for the trunk, which is really helpful in helping you get that full backswing, is simply standing again close to a wall and then reaching backwards and placing your hands on the wall, and then stretch a little farther next time and just hold that now for a 30-second hold position. And then back, and we go the opposite way, place our hands on the wall, and climb down the wall a little bit each time until we can make a full trunk turn so that you can stretch the muscles and ligaments across your trunk for a big backswing. Now, we're going to do some soft stretching in front of us, and carefully, so that we never do it with legs straight where you're going to hurt your back and bounce downward, but just a soft hang and stretch. It's again to stretch the hamstring muscles in the backs of your legs right here. Soft, easy hang and stretch. 30-second hang and stretch, just fine, right there. Then to the floor position. We're going to work now on the middle part of your body with a little bit of a exercise where we get some rotation in the spine. And I want you to do this exercise with your leg bent, not straight out, but bent just a little bit, and do a leg over, head reverse to the opposite direction, and a leg over until it reaches the floor. Up, leg slightly bent, because if it's straight again, more chance for back problem, raising your lower back off the floor. So we go over to the other side, and we're doing 15 repetitions of this particular exercise. So left leg over, then right leg over. Then you can do both legs, rotating to either side, easy again, to this side, and get some more flexibility in that lower part of your spine and in your trunk so that you can make the kind of swing that you would like to make. Now, since the back is such a vulnerable part of your body in golf, we try to do some exercises that relate to improving the musculature of the back and also to prevent low back problems. Here is one of the simple ones we start with. Just simply lying on the floor with your legs out and reaching one leg up here, just a little tug, and then down, and the other one, always keeping your low back flat to the floor. Whenever we do these exercises, we never let our low back arch upward. Even when we're doing our sit-ups or our little roll-ups, we do a roll-up position. When we roll up, when we simply just raise our head off the floor, this position like this, with the knees bent, that keeps your back flat. But it's when you straighten your legs that your back starts to arch. So when we're doing those kind of exercises, and I do quite a few of these with rolling up position, keeping my musculature, my stomach taut all the time, never relaxing all the way back. This is for a strong person. This is not what you're going to be able to do at the beginning. At the first, you'll just be able to do the little roll-up, just getting your head and shoulders up off the floor, and that will still begin to strengthen your abdominals. Now, on the other side, for the back muscles, we can roll over in this position and simply let our head come off the floor. If you like, you may put a small pillow or some kind of a support underneath your stomach so that you can keep your back as straight as possible. But simply get your head up position. Put your hands in front, raise your head, lower back down, and you'll feel it in your low back. Now, as you get stronger, you can place your hands for more weight. You can place your hands back here, and you can feel it then more in your low back. But do it very carefully and slowly, because this is the area that you want to take the most caution with, and that's the low back in golf. Now, also to help you with your stretching, here's an exercise we do to reach out. At first, you may be only be able to go to your knee, and then gradually to your ankle, and finally to your toe. And reach out here and just hold that position. Again, the flexibility that we're looking for here is to stretching the under part of the leg, the hamstrings, to help you to prevent the low back problem, abdominals and hamstrings, to help prevent low back problem, and also to make you more flexible for the golf swing. We reverse that position, the right leg in against the thigh, reach out again, holding position, and hold for 30 seconds. You know, the interesting thing about flexibility is that you can get it back almost at any age. You'll find that after a week or so of that work, that next time you'll find you can stretch a little farther than you could before. And that is encouraging, because if you can do it here and you can get your body better conditioned to be able to make its full range of motion, then you can do it on the golf course, and that's where it really counts. As you watch these swings, you can appreciate the importance of keeping your body flexible so you can make a full backswing and a full finish. We hope that today we've been able to help impress upon you that golf is an athletic event. If you have only limited time, of course, that's best spent on practicing and playing the game under the supervision of a good golf professional. But if you want to be your best, your body has to be fit enough to be able to play the kind of game that you really want. So you have to work at it. You know, really, there are 4 factors which influence the golf drive for distance. One of them is strength, one of them is flexibility, one of them is the lever length of your arm, and the 4th one is technique. Now, you can have the others, but if you have a lousy swing, you're still not going to hit the ball very far. Probably won't hit it. You'll probably hit it often, but you probably won't hit it often in the center of the face. So technique does become very important. It's obvious when you see some little junior 130 pounds driving it by a 200-pound muscular guy that there's got to be a reason. It certainly isn't that the little guy is stronger. It's that he has a much better technique. And technique is extremely important in being able to drive the ball a long way. So let's look at some of the factors in technique that'll help you to be able to get your maximum distance. One starts with grip. I guess Hogan was right when he said, the great Ben Hogan, that is, when he said, good golf starts with a good grip. And by a good grip, we mean this. Let's take the negative first. If I'm trying to get the club parallel at the top of my swing, or at least to parallel, and I took a hold with the palm of my right hand, that would tend to lock my wrist, and the club would stick more toward the sky, point more up toward in the air. Well, I really haven't loaded the gun then. I need to get the club here so that I can get the greatest distance in throwing something. You see, if I were going to take this club and try to throw it, and I wound up and I put it in the air like that, I would look awkward and I wouldn't get much power. But as soon as I let my wrist cock, now I get a chain reaction, a link system from the foot clear through finally to the hand, and I can hear some speed. But when it's stuck up in the air this way, I get a shoving motion, and that's, I know that you've seen that on Saturday and Sunday in your own foursome many, many times. And it's only instinctive. We want to hit hard with our right hand. They hold on tight with the right. It never sets. And so that's one of the mistakes that you make when you start out with grip. Now, how do you overcome that? Well, first of all, you put it in the correct position in your right hand. The correct position is in the fingers of the right hand, so that this wrist can be allowed to set. In the palm, again, tends to freeze the wrist. In the fingers, puts it in a position where you can get the best release and also the best set of the wrist at the top of the golf swing. So right-hand grip is always a finger grip. Left-hand grip now, in order to get your most power, should be one where you capture the club in the fingers of the left hand against the butt of the left hand, right here. And when I say capture it, I mean we don't squeeze it to death, but we capture it in the sense that we don't let it go. Now there, you see, is a factor that's important for control, because distance without direction is of little value. Yes, I might be able to generate some speed doing this and letting go, but where it would go so wildly that when I got to the tee to try to hit a tee shot, I would always be afraid of letting the full thing out and letting it go, because I wouldn't know whether it's going to go to the woods to the right or the woods to the left. So by having good control, you also get the confidence that you can take a full cut at it and still be able to find the ball. So in the left-hand grip, we place the club across the roots of the fingers and a little down into the second joint of the index finger of the left hand.
we hold it so that it'll hold under the heel of the hand. I could let go with my finger and thumb and hold it in this position, feeling the pressure here. I have it now in a phrase that I like to use of having it captured in those fingers. And the thumb and finger of the left simply go around and the shaft, and now I have a grip in my left hand that will provide me with control as well as good confidence in my gripping. So those two put together look something like this. Hands off, hands on. Fingers of the right, palm and fingers of the left. Natural position here so that my hands are not fighting one another, but rather working together as a unit, both in a hanging position. There. You see, the grip isn't really that hard, but it does take a lot of practice so that you can do that consistently. You may have noticed, as I set up to the ball, that I have a gripping routine that gets the club first in my fingers of my right, and my left swings in its natural position. Some players start with their left hand at their side and swing the right hand into position. Some players start with it up in front where it feels light and then sole it to that position. But you need to get a gripping routine if you're going to be consistent in presenting this face squarely, which also is so essential to getting your maximum distance. Now let's take a little look at aim, because that's important too. Why do I take so much care in getting aim correctly? Because aim is important not only for direction, it's important for distance. You may never have ever thought of it in that particular way, but stop and look at this. If I aimed out to the right, which is where about 70 or 80% of the players do, if I aim too far out to the right, the only way I'm going to get the ball back to the center is to hit early from the top and across the line in order to pull the ball back to the left, away from the position out in the right rough where I'm aiming it. Now, if I throw the club early from the top, can you hear the noise? I'm losing my speed already back here, way away from the ball. I want to be able to approach the ball from the inside so that my swing sounds more like this. And I get the speed where the ball is, where it counts. I can only do that from a swing that approaches the ball from the inside of the line. At least I can only do it to the best of my potential when I do it that way. Now, what about if I aim too far to the left? It's obvious now you can see why aiming to the right would cut your distance down. What about aiming to the left? What if I were to stand way open? Well, that's better, actually, than aiming too far to the right, because at least you're approaching the shot from the inside. But you have to hold just a little bit instead of getting your full release that you'd want for maximum distance. You have to hold on just a little extra long to this club, and that will cut back your distance slightly, plus the fact that more than likely you will be cutting the ball with a little spin, a right to left spin on it, a little extra backspin that comes from the fade. And we all know from scientific research that the fade does not go as far as a ball that turns right to left. So in my aiming, I'm trying to do a couple of things. I'm aiming the club face. That's why I have these clubs on the ground, because I want them to help me to see that I'm aiming correctly. I'm aiming the club face, checking it then, pair it right to the ball the same way. And then I'm aiming my body so that I can get my hips and shoulder line parallel to these lines on the ground. Then I can produce my most effort, my most fluid motion with my best technique, which always gives you your best distance. Now that we have our hands on the club correctly, and we're aiming at a target, we've got to put the ball in the way of the swing. And we also need to put our body in its strongest position in order to make
the best swing that we have as far as the mechanics are concerned. Let's talk about ball position first. Forward and back. If the ball is too far forward in your stance, that means, say for this tee shot, somewhere ahead of my left foot or out by my left toe, by the time the club head gets to the ball, it will already have passed my hands. Now, you get the most speed in golf when your club head and left arm become a straight line. You see, you're increasing in speed as you come down, and right at that moment, you will have the highest speed. And as soon as the club head passes your upper lever right here, the lower lever passes the upper lever, then the club head has to be decreasing in speed. So I don't want it out in front. Of course, there's other reasons too, because if I have it out in front, I'll tend to cut across the ball, I'll hit a lot of high fades, I'll hit some pulls, and again, with bad direction, you're never going to be a great long hitter because you're too afraid to take a good cut at it. So we're going to put the ball in the correct position. Now that varies a little bit with individuals. If you have a lot of lateral movement toward the ball this way, the ball position will be a little more forward. If you're a little more static in your lower body, you simply turn and return, then the ball position will be a little farther back. When I say a little farther forward or back, the position about 3 or 4 inches back of the heel is about as far back as the average player would play it, would want to play it, and the maybe more flexible young one would play it a little more forward toward the left heel. You senior citizens might need to even play it back a little farther here, but I'd like the ball forward a bit because you see, then you can get the drive going from your right foot into your left foot, which helps you to get a little extra power. So what we're going to do is find a ball position, and I like to find it by trying to put it right up beside the side of my body up here by my left ear, where I kind of feel it as I'm looking down there with my left eye, that I can kind of feel it right up here alongside my left ear position. All right, that's forward and back. It's obvious that if we have it back too far, that we would have to hit early with our hands in order to get the club face square to get the ball out down the center of the fairway. And if you're releasing early, you're not getting your maximum distance. And of course, you can't very well drive into the ball when it's too far behind you. So consequently, what we do is we try to find the position through experimentation, work with your professional, in which you will be able to get the most drive toward the ball and come to the ball exactly, or as close as possible, to when your club levels off. You do not want an angle of attack that is steep, as you would have in a ball position too far back. Now, obviously, you don't want to have it too much on the upswing. You're liable to hit it on top. We want the club face to be meeting the ball when the angle of attack with the club head is leveling off to almost even. If it's 2 degrees in the downswing or 3 degrees, that's very good. But a very steep downward blow will just pop the ball straight up in the air for you, and that's not very good distance. Now, how about how far from the ball? That's a big one. That's one I see a lot of mistakes with. Let me just show you an easy way to do it. Once you get your grip position, bring the club down until your left arm is on your chest where you can feel a little pressure. When you can feel a little pressure, then just bend from the hips forward. Now, when your club is just slightly above the ball, then just take a little sit in the knees. Now you're in a position where your back is fairly straight, and everybody's body's built a little differently, so some will be more straight, some will be a little more rounded, but it feels like it's fairly straight with your rear end sticking out just a little bit. From that position, you are in a strong position to make a better wind-up than, for example, when you sit deep in the knees this way, you see, and now you can't get near the action of your legs and body as you can get from a position with your knees only slightly flexed and bent better at the hips. So we reach it down to the chest, bend forward, set the club to the ground in a position now where it's going to be with the club face centered behind the ball. And then we also, from that particular position, we can find that we can take the club more straight away from the ball rather than picking it up, taking it inside, as a person might do, for example, taking it inside if they're too far away. Now, this is the one that I see most often. People who go like this. And then they back off, and now they're reaching for the ball. And the reason they do this is because
when they've gotten in the correct position, they too often hit too soon with their right, and they hit behind the ball. And so when they hit behind the ball, they say, well, I'd better get back a little farther so I won't hit behind it. They don't hit behind it then. That's correct. They hit it on the toe. It goes sideways. They throw their arms out to get it. It goes to the left. What they've really done is they've done this. When they've backed off from the ball and put their arms and reached out this way, they've separated the power of their arms from the power of their body. The body now can't be nearly as effective. You see, my arms are kind of swinging independently. And I want them to work together with the body, so I don't want to separate them away. You can always also be too close, although we don't see that very often. Too close would obviously crowd your arms from getting into full extension. And if the arms are crowded in here like this and you're making contact with your elbows bent, your lever arm is shortened and you're not going to get the same distance. Then I go through this type of routine. Get my grip. Now I measure my distance from the ball on my chest with my left arm right there. There we are. Then I place my feet in position so that I can get the ball underneath my left ear. Good address. Now I can just simply swing it back, swing it through, and let her go. Well, there you have it, the pre-swing principles before you hit that long tee ball. The grip, the aim, and the setup. And those are things that are really kind of details that you have a little time to think about. You have a time to check to see that it's correct, you see. Anyone, without even a lot of motor skill, can at least look like a pro when they get grip, aim, and setup. Now, the other part, making a swing, takes a little more, well, maybe a little more natural ability, at least a little bit more practice before you can become proficient. So let's get into that one, but you'll find when we do, we're not going to talk about a lot of details. We're going to talk about feel. We're going to talk about what it feels like to make a swing. And here's what it is very, very simply. There are a lot of athletic skills that are much alike. And one of them here is like throwing a ball or hitting a ball. Whenever we make a striking or throwing motion, we go from our right foot to our left foot, right side to left side. When we're going to hit something like a baseball, we wind up. You watch the batters facing the pitcher. They'll wind up with their back to the pitcher, you see, getting in position where they can get power from the back muscles and leg muscles. So we're going to really just do something as a simple drill to give us a feeling of what the golf swing should feel like. When you're out there on the golf course, great place to do it. When you lose your feel, you just start hitting it all over the place and you don't have an idea of what you're supposed to do, and you're thinking about 10 different things, and the more you think about the different things, the worse you get. So let's give you a little drill that you can do, practice at home, and you can do it on the golf course as well to help you get feel back in your swing. It looks like this. Take your good grip. Then just hold the club in front of you, not quite up to waist height. Cock your wrist so it's in a flat position when you swing the club back. This is going to be a flat-wristed baseball swing with a swing below your shoulder, letting your hands, forearms simply roll over so that the hand is flat again on this side, but now pointing downward. That's release. A flat-wristed baseball swing going from right foot where you've wound your back to the target to left foot where you're facing. Now, it looks very simple, and it is simple. But you've got to practice it and do it a little bit and try it out to give you that feeling of what it's like to make a swinging motion. Now, watch how similar they are when I make this golf shot. Drill. I check to see that my wrist is flat. Good. Now, flat-wristed, baseball swing. Once more, flat-wristed, so I turn my back to my target also, baseball swing. Now I simply tilt a little lower, just above the ball. Now it's still flat-wristed, but the plane, as I've tilted more, the plane comes up more. Still flat-wristed, still turns over and releases right foot to left foot. Okay, now watch how similar these two swings look when I put it on the ball. That's how easy it is. That's how easy it is to get the feeling of what it's like to make a swinging motion. And I would like to suggest that to you when you're playing and when you're practicing, to get the feeling of what a golf swing is like without confusing yourself with 1,000 details. Because golf is played by feel, not by thinking of 100 things when you're trying to make a motion that lasts a second and a half. Try it out. I think you'll like it.
So what is the secret to distance? Well, some might say just 2 strong parents. I can't argue with the fact that heredity does make a difference. But that's already been decided. What can you do with what you've got now? Well, you can change your golf swing and improve it. Better technique. And secondly, you can change your body. You can get back to exercising and doing some of the things that'll give you the strength and the flexibility to be able to hit that long shot. So I hope that you'll take seriously the things that you've seen in this tape and apply it to your golf game. If you do, I think you're going to be able to find that you're going to walk more often golf's golden steps, the ones you walk past your opponent's drive. And believe me, they're a lot of fun.